Couple more slides where we talk about more specifically about the bars, and Matt and I will ham and egg it a little bit. And in the view that I have here, I can't even read these things. So you take it away.
Yeah, I do want to. I don't know if anyone caught it. Eric apparently has a Boston accent as well because he called him ADDRA.
I called him Boz. I heard it.
I know Tim's on the call, so he can validate how we would say it if we were coming from Boston. But
I was just going to chime in, and Mark beat me to it. The packaging looks awesome.
Right on. And that packaging was produced yesterday. I mean, these are graphics, but it's there. Yeah, they look pretty cool.
And so you can see from a look and feel perspective. So what we were really going for was back to that first pillar around performance. When we looked at the different products available within the non-endurance or non-athlete space versus the athlete space, just take a walk down a supermarket aisle in the protein bar section. There was a very common theme. It was very food imagery oriented, big pictures of a scoop of cookie dough or, graphics around the ingredients. And it really was speaking more to the components of the bar. What we, with who we're really approaching, the athlete that cares about performance as much as they care about flavor. The bars were designed to really have that look and feel that you would see with a high performance, carbohydrate product or something like that. When we were designing the bars, we really had a chance to think from the ground up of, okay, if we were building the bar for ourselves, which we are, what would we want to include? So we took a lot of those components in. So one, you'll notice just from a shape and orientation component, it's not a long skinny bar like you see, like the Gatorade protein bar, I think is like a foot long. So we went with short and a little bit wider. And the reason for this is, we think about jersey pockets, small, running elastic pockets in running tights, small pockets in bags, depending what you do. It really needs to store easily. Shorter bars tend to do that well. We went uncoated, meaning we didn't cover this thing in chocolate. We had to work really hard to make these things taste good because we didn't have the fallback that most other companies do, which is just, well, cover it in chocolate, it'll taste fine. So we worked hard because for two reasons. One, we really wanted to keep the sugar content under control. But two, we know that put a bar into, the glove compartment or the center console of a car, go out for a ride, come back. If definitely if you live in San Antonio, it's going to be a melty mess and you're not going to be able to eat it. So we purposely went uncoated to keep it easy to eat and clean and convenient. And then maybe an indulgent one wouldn't hurt. Maybe, Tim, we'll put you on the taste test for the next round of flavors. The other one is sugar. So we didn't go no sugar. But we didn't go with 30 grams of sugar. The whole point was...
Maybe I can speak to the sugar a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so, if you look at protein bars, they kind of fall into one of two camps. There's the sort of full sugar, your sugar syrups, and it's not that there's anything wrong with sugar or carbohydrates, but we all have plenty of access to carbohydrates and sugar, and we could choose them or not. So we don't feel like we need to add tons of sugar like that. On the other hand, you have like the zero sugar crowd, and it's like it's a bit physiologically, 0 and 5 are not so different in terms of sugar. But so we are not. Once you go to zero sugar, you're really limiting what happens taste wise. So we are. In different territory here. We have a little bit of sugar because it helps with taste substantially, but you'll always see less than 10 grams of total sugar and usually less than 6 grams of added sugar, which is pretty low for something that tastes great. But if we went to zero, it just would change the way the bar tastes. So there was a lot of thinking that went into just figuring out the right sugar content. And we all know we need carbs for recovering from endurance activities. You just don't need to get it in your protein bar. You can choose to get it in whatever way you choose. You know, you like orange juice or you like whatever. It's up to you. So that's the story behind the sugar.
Yep. Obviously, the only other call out is the flavor variety. So obviously, we went with 4, 2 vegan, 2 dairy, and you know, we actually made, I think, 16 different flavors when we were in the lab, and we handmade around 180 protein bars and tasted every single one of them. And we were there for a day and a half, and I think I ate about 25 protein bars in all. It was a lot. But you know, there was a lot of ones that didn't leave the cutting room floor, and then there was a couple that, you know, made it all the way to the end, but we opted out. So you know, chocolate thin mint was, it was close. But you know, ultimately these were the ones that when we experimented and did some, you know, preliminary testing, these are the ones that people seem to like a bit more. But
we are sourcing you know, tart cherries from Western Michigan, and you know, we've got like, and there's real stuff in here. You'll see, you know, and really rich cocoa extract in the chocolate cherry. There's some great ingredients beyond just the protein and leucine.
So, and then obviously the last call out is just the increment is 17 to 18 grams of protein with supplemental 1.5 grams of leucine added to each bar. And that is what gives it the amino acid composition that we saw on the last chart.
And one little point of clarification. So the vegan, so the leucine is added to, and you'll see when you look at the ingredient statement, like a protein hydrolysate, which is basically just like a broken down protein, and the leucine is incorporated into that. And so for the vegan bars, it's pea protein. Yeah, that's right. It's pea protein that's got the enrichment in leucine, and then it's whey protein that's been enriched in leucine for the dairy bars.
Cool. You want to keep going? Or you want me to keep going?
Yeah. So on this, this is just kind of a practical wrap up on how do you use these bars? How would we recommend using them, and how have we been using them in addition to all other times of the day? But you know, like we talked about, you've seen the science. Eating this right after workout is the most obvious way to incorporate this into the day. And then also, like we were talking about with the protein timing, you know, you need to get 20 gram plus equivalent protein 5 times a day. 3 of those are with regular meals. If you can crank out a can of tuna, or a Greek yogurt and a half or whatever, that's great. But these are pretty convenient, don't need to be refrigerated, and so those are the best ways to incorporate this into your daily recovery and adaptation program.
This is an interesting slide. It's going to be part of the website. It's going to be part of our educational materials. Now, obviously, everything that we just walked through, there's a lot of steps to get to why we made this bar. Through a lot of the market research we did, one of the things that was very clear was that the 100 or so athletes we interviewed, most of them did not have a very high level understanding of protein and how it is utilized by the body, and how it is how they should be thinking about it and incorporating it into their diet. Some, I would say, many people were protein aware in that they knew they should have protein and eat it, but majority of folks don't know how much or how often. And so we have to do multiple levels of education. So that, if you think, the audience in the world doesn't even know how much protein they're supposed to eat, how do we explain to them what leucine is? So this presentation was really that step-by-step, hey, your body develops it needs to develop muscle, it needs protein. Protein is important, and here's why it's different, and then all the way down to the bar. So this is going to be one of the key narratives that we're going to be messaging out quite a bit with our marketing, through our different channels, and we're going to be looking with to you guys a bit to help us share that message as well. And then yeah, so the format that the bars are going to come in, so everything's going to come in a 12 count case. So this is an example of the cases that we are flying to Minneapolis to hand drive down to Oklahoma because of logistics. And
on the side of each of the boxes, we'll have that comparison chart with the leucine levels. So it's just super handy. I mean, that is the difference in these bars, and it'll be right there. We will have a variety pack, and it's got that big long chart that shows all the different sources of protein. Otherwise, the dairy ones compared to dairy, the main sources of dairy protein, and the vegans, the vegan ones.
Exactly.